myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thought.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and joined as always on a Saturday morning by Mick Lewis. How are you, Mick?
I'm very good, Steve. First things first, as it's a tea time, as it's breakfast rather, we need one of those. So thank you to John from QTech. I've got the mug.
Fantastic, mate. Good stuff. Excellent. Thank you, John, for sorting that out. And just before we get into the football chat, big well done to my fighter, Mo Sayers, who made his debut as a cruiserweight last night at the arena on the undercard of the Lewis Ritson fight. And a big shout out to Alan Shearer, obviously a friend of the show, who took time out to come and see Mo, congratulate him, and have a photograph taken with him. But start of big things to come for young Mo, to be on an undercard like that, with the likes of Pat McCormack, who made his debut as well. Fantastic win for him within 2 rounds. Troy Williamson, the fighter from Darlington, of course, who retained his British title fight in what has to be the fight of the night for me.
Yeah.
Proper good old scrap that. And well done to Lewis Ritson as well, keeping the dream alive. A good points win against a tough opponent, meaning that big time boxing remains firmly in place in Newcastle. And well done to Probellum. Well run show.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Richard Schaefer, Sam Jones in particular. People behind the scenes that people don't see, the likes of Aaron and Katie, brilliant stuff from them as well. And Phil Jeffries needs a big pat on the back, because that man has done so much for Northeast boxing, over the years. He's sitting proudly at the top of that table and making things happen. So it's a great opportunity, and looking forward to working with Probellum moving forward.
I always remember, Steve, going a conversation with, you could do it with all of them. You name any major promoter, even, because they are the big guys. I mean, nowadays you're probably talking Eddie Hearn. But I remember a conversation with Frank Warren, probably going back 20 odd years now, how absolute desperate these top promoters are to crack the Northeast, to get, big fight and big fighters in the Northeast. We've had one or two, we've got close with, the McCrorys of this world, etc. But these promoters are desperate. Again, watching the event at Nottingham last weekend with the young lads here, again, they want to get out of London. They want to get out of major venues in and around the cities. And if they can find a boxer in the Northeast, what a night we would have there on a regular basis in the Northeast. So, keep at it, local promoters, local boxers, because sooner or later we'll crack it. We will crack it one day.
We will. We're getting there slowly but surely. As people know, I've took time out of the promoter side of things after 9 years, 9 great years. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But look, it's time for other people. Matty Jobs has got a great boxing gym up here. He's starting to put on the small hall shows. Phil is still busting a gut. He's still got the enthusiasm. But I'm just going to enjoy the journey with 2 fighters that I've kept on. Obviously, Mo is at the beginning of his journey, and Jeff Saunders making a comeback in July. So really looking forward to that. Yeah, Pat McCormack was first round. Sorry, Val, you're right. Vince, thank you so much, mate, for your support. He just says, good morning, everyone. Just to say I'm over the moon with winning the Joe Linton T-shirt. I'm so happy I could help such a great cause, the food bank. I only joined Twitter so I could make the bid. Cheers, everyone. Vince, just go canny on Twitter, mate. It can be a lovely place, but it can be a cesspit as well, mate. So make sure you don't get dragged into anything. But thank you so much for your generosity. And he won the T-shirt for 100 quid and chose to put another £50 in on top for the food bank, which is very, very generous of him. So thank you very much. Okay, as most of you know, next week is all pre-recorded shows. I've got a live today with Mick. I've got a live tomorrow with Holly. Monday, will be live with the lads, so you'll be still able to do your fans forum on Monday with the guys. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through till Sunday next week is all pre-recorded. Some great shows for you, so make sure you still tune in. But today, we're going to do like a half-term report, and I've done this with a couple of people in the pre-records next week, just to see where people feel we are at after the takeover on the 7th of October. So first of all, Mick. Yeah. Our new owners, yes. PIF, Amanda Staveley, Mirdad Gadusi, Jamie Rubin, the people who make up our boardroom now. give us your half-term report. We're coming up to 6 months of ownership by the guys. They've done, they've had to make some pretty major decisions. What's your overall view of how they've done?
I mean, let's use the old footballing cliche. Our assessment in terms of their first performance. I think you've got to look at somewhere around about a 7.5, 8 to 10, something like that. So you're looking at a player who has been decent, very decent, hasn't set the world apart, but at the same time has been very much a major player, and they have been a major player. And the one thing that they've done more than anything else is that they've bucked the trend in terms of signed players in January, which obviously, the previous owner just had no time to do whatsoever. But also in the current climate, it was hugely important that we signed players in January. So they went out in January and signed, arguably, they say, £96 million players. Now, that ultimately is going to cost them or save them Premier League football next season. There's no doubt about it. That has saved the day. It has saved the day. Eddie Howe has been very, very good, but the major player is the signature of five players who came along: Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier, Bruno, Chris Wood, and Matt Targett. So 5 players signed in January for an awful lot of money are going to me, and I don't think it takes a genius to work it out, is going to keep us in the Premier League next season. That is the single most important thing that the new ownerships have done. Yes, they've been better in terms of cooperating, better in terms of communication. They've done this, they've done that. They've brought Shearer's bar back, etc., etc., etc. They look like proper people, but the most important thing they've done is they've splashed the cash and they've made Eddie Howe's life more bearable by signing in 5 players who will make sure that we play Premier League football. So that is the single most important thing that they've done. And it's a huge thing. I mean, some people might say it's an easy thing to do if you've got the amount of money that those owners have. But at the same time, you've also got to bear in mind, not only have they signed that amount of players, they've signed the right players. I mean, I'll be the first to say that I wanted a top line centre back. I probably wanted 2 centre backs. I probably wanted a better centre forward. But they then found Kieran Trippier, who we didn't necessarily see on radar. They signed Bruno when top players wanted him. Maybe I didn't see we saw Bruno coming. They made a very astute signing in Matt Targett at left back. So what comes with one goes with another. Either way, they've not only spent in terms of money, in terms of players, in terms of the amount of money, they've also bought key players, proper players that we've talked about. So my initial point is, yes, it's 7.5, 8 out of 10. And the major point is the fact that they did what Mike Ashley hasn't done for 14 years, with 1 or 2 exceptions, and that is they've signed and bought players.
Mick, you're on social media, you're on Twitter. They've
briefly,
and I mean,
not huge amounts, yeah.
But you've got the situation here where Mirdad and Jamie are both on there,
yes,
and they really have, interacted with supporters. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. And that's a very good question. It's a very good question, because there are some days when I sit and I watch it, and I stand and I watch it, and I think, no, leave it alone. Leave it alone. We don't need it. There are other times I think, okay, it's good. It's good. It is going back to that mention I used before about communication. It's about getting to know your fans, getting to be personal with your fans. But there are, as I say, there are times, I don't know. I mean, if back in the day, let's put it this way, if Twitter had been created in 1975, 1980. Would Sir John Hall, Freddie Shepherd, and the likes, would they have been in Twitter? I doubt it very much. But it's a different world these days. I mean, sometimes, and these days almost in many ways, Steve, it's not that you want to, it's that you have to. You have to be involved. You have to play the game, you know, and that's what it is in life. Social, it's about playing the game. If you're not in it, you're out of it, and if you're out of it, you're distant. And especially if you're an owner. I mean, you know, Eddie Howe, of course, doesn't do it because he's got better things to do. So there is an argument with me that thinks maybe the Rubens and Mehrdad Gadusi and Amanda Staveley, to a lesser point, maybe they don't quite need to be as involved. But at the same time, as I say, for the likes of me, who perhaps doesn't like it, there are thousands upon thousands of Newcastle fans, younger ones, who love it, absolutely love it. And it helps. And it helps the relationship between the board and those fans. So it's no good me saying it's wrong, and it's no good you saying it's right or wrong, and somebody who's 80 years of age saying it's terrible, because you're going to find you've got, as I say, a demographic somewhere between 15 and 30, which will be desperate to see their people, their owners, their managers, their players on social media contributing, helping, showing themselves and opening themselves up. I mean, you talked upon it there about Alan Shearer with the boxing. Alan Shearer does it an awful lot, you know. Alan Shearer wouldn't have done it when he was once upon a time when he was a player, but he'll do it now because it's part of the game. You know, he's a media profile. He's a huge profile. You need to do it. You have to do it. You have to put yourself out there. As a journalist, I never touched it. I didn't touch it with a barge pole. But since then, because I want to get the message out about something like this, or the message about something like that, or the message about having a stroke and helping people who've got aphasia, it's a hugely important and a very, very useful toy to play with. So I think you have to use it within reason, but I certainly wouldn't turn and say to them, no, do not do it. But maybe on occasions, just be a little bit careful with it.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, from the owner's point of view, they have also had to deal with constant questions about the Saudi situation. And another person who's had to deal with that is Eddie Howe. So let's talk about Eddie Howe's first first few months in the job. He's, that was their first big appointment. Did they get the right man, do you think, first of all?
I would honestly say that at this minute in time, it is way, way too early to suggest either way. Because basically you're talking about a guy who's been in charge for no more than 4 or 5 months. You know, it takes longer than that, Steve. It takes an awful lot longer than that. You know, I remember the conversations I had with you about, what only one win in his first 10. Was he struggling a little bit? You know, who had come in? Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, Dean Smith at Norwich, and had started well. Then all of a sudden, December, Eddie Howe picked up with the ball and went unbeaten for those 9 games. Then we played very well at Chelsea, but lost at Chelsea. Then we were poor second half against Everton, but we've lost the second game against Everton. We've got a very, very difficult one in a week's time away at Tottenham Hotspur. And that's what football management is about. It's swings and roundabouts. Yes, the Guardiolas and the Klopps will go about their merry way, and the only time they'll lose their game is more often than not if they choose to lose it. As far as Eddie Howe's concerned, he has to try really, really hard and work hard, and he has worked hard, and he's worked well about that club. But it's going to take time. He's got to do is work it beat by beat. So he's trying to get to the end of this season. He's staying in the Premier League, Then we have a think about what do we do in terms of the squad in the summer. Does that improve it? Is he then even in a better position to not have to even worry about relegation, but then can maybe think about middle of the table, maybe 7, 8, 9 in the table. Let's see where we go. But you just don't know. It's an impossible situation. You know, you get managers who 1 minute you think they're absolute. I mean, take Pardew, for instance. You know, Alan Pardew, as much as disliked as he was, did a fabulous job. You know, got to 5th, was manager of the season, got us into Europe. You know, we were very, very good for the best part of 18 months, 2 years. And then all of a sudden it disappeared again. You know, before you know it, you're 12th in the table. Now, he chose to leave the club, but I've absolutely no doubt that sooner or later, somewhere down the line, he would have lost his job, because that's what managers do. They lose their jobs. They only keep their jobs, managers, unless they stay successful time and time and time and time and time and time again. And the only managers that do that are the Guardiolas, are the Klopps, are people like the Alex Fergusons at Manchester United. So all we can do with Eddie Howe at this minute in time is hope that he carries on doing what he's doing at the minute, which is very impressive. Two defeats in 11 is fantastic. Certainly an awful lot better than it was at the start. But we know that he wasn't necessarily first choice. But they've pecked him out there. They've got him in. They've got him and taken him on board. And yes, he didn't start particularly well, but he's now doing very, very well, and just has to keep going and has to keep going. But do I think he'll be in 2 years' time, Steve? I've no idea. Do I think he'll be there in 1 year's time? I have absolutely no idea. I really don't. I don't think anybody does. And that is part of it's the getting to know you. I keep talking about the getting to know you. It's the getting to know you with Eddie Howe, but it's also the getting to know you with the ownership as well. The ownership at this minute are very happy with Eddie Howe. So we seem. You know, what if the ownership suddenly find us in the middle of the summer and they get a knock on the door from somebody who's available, who they think, ooh, he could really take us to another level? Who knows? Who knows? We just don't know. It has been such a roller coaster. You know, I almost, when you say to me October, it's frightening, isn't it? I mean, October, it feels like about 4 years since it started. You know, since the new ownership were there, since Eddie Howe has been around. It feels a long time. It's October. It's barely, as I say, 6 months. It's barely 6 months. And yet so much has happened in a strange way. So let's just take time. We don't, I think, as I said, against the Everton and the Chelsea games, don't beat yourselves up. Don't beat yourselves up. We're fine at the minute. We're fine. But, the longer it goes, through until the end of the season, through to the summer, through to the start of next season, then before you know it, there'll have been a year. When we get to, say, October of 2022, the owners and hopefully Eddie Howe will have been a year in the game, 12 months in the game. Let's see where we are then. Let's see what's happening with a for instance, a director of football. Let's see where the chief executive is. Let's see what's been talked about in terms of the training ground. There's been little jobs done, little things here, little things there, but we haven't done anything major. The major thing we've done, and 100% they are absolutely spot on here, because again, going back to what I said, the most important thing they did and the most important thing they needed to do was keep this football club in the Premier League. Again, look at the stats, Steve. The Premier League has been going for 30 years, okay? This is just the Premier League. I mean, the older people will think, oh, God, the Premier League, because whatever. 30 years, 50 different football league clubs have played in the Premier League. There are only six have ever played in every one of those 30 seasons. And we all know the teams. They are Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham and Everton. But the next two teams, the only other two teams who've got anywhere close to playing at the Premier League table every of those 30 seasons are Aston Villa Football Club with 27, and you know who, Newcastle United. So we're not bad, you know. We're not bad. We are not bad at all. So, you know, let's just see where we are, and let's just see whether the ownerships can't push us back into that ball again.
Yeah, big shout out to political bias against the right. Sorry, mate, I was on the phone yesterday when you stopped us in the street. But as you say, next time I see him, we'll grab a coffee or something. But thanks for becoming a member of the channel. Anybody who wants to do that, just hit the join button. Just a little bit of support for the channel goes a long way. Eddie Howe, as I mentioned, who has had to fend off political questions, Mick. Something which is a bit awkward, but you know, for anybody at the time. But I think he's batted them off rather well. What do you think?
Well, he can only do as much as he can do. Now, if Eddie Howe wants to sit down quietly and wants to have a think about what is happening and what isn't happening in Saudi Arabia, whether he believes that owners that he is an employee of are the right people or the wrong people, then only Eddie Howe knows that. But I think there was an interesting question in the press conference not long ago about did he consider when he took the job, did he consider that it was the right thing or the wrong thing in terms of the ownership at Newcastle United? And he quite rightly said, and this is the bottom line, that the powers that be at the Premier League, the powers that be politically at government level, have both decided that they are the right people and they are correct people in order of being developed to develop Newcastle United and be owners of Newcastle United. So that's all you can do. That's all Eddie Howe can do. That's all we all can do, really. If the powers that be decide that they are correct and proper people, then we take it as read. They are correct and proper people. That's all you can do. That's all you can do in life in terms of, you know, the management from government and political. You know, COVID, you know, during COVID, we didn't suddenly say, oh, we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, you know, we shouldn't be in isolation. We shouldn't be doing jabs. We shouldn't be doing boosters. We shouldn't be wearing masks. We do what the government tell us. We do what the powers that be tell us. We, you know, they are supposed to be the people who run the country. They run the country. They run our lives to all intents and purposes. So we spent 2 years, you know, jumping over hoops about COVID, doing this, doing that, doing things we didn't particularly like doing, things we thought were right, things we thought were wrong, but we did them. Now, people might think this is slightly strange, but it's the exact same scenario. Those same people, those government people, along with the Premier League, looked at the ownership of Newcastle United and said, yes, they're the right people, the right thing. They are proper people to do the job. So as a result, we have that ownership of Newcastle United. End of story, as far as I'm concerned. Eddie Howe doesn't need necessarily to get involved. If he wants to get involved, that's entirely up to him. We all have I have an ability on here. You have an ability on here. All the lads have the ability. Anybody in Great Britain have an ability to say whatever they wish to say. We all have opinions. We all have opinions. As long as legally it's okay. I could at this very minute say whatever I want to say. That is the beauty of it. But I could get wrong. I could upset people. I could legally be, I could get all sorts of problems legally with it. But I am able to say what I wish to say. And Eddie Howe, if he wished to, could say whatever he wanted to say. But he is the owner. He is an employee of Newcastle United, and as a result, he chooses to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, fair play, and yeah, we wish him all the best. Thanks to Vince Smith for becoming a member as well. Thank you, mate. Your generosity knows no bounds. Just going to give a shout out to the sponsors before we ask Mick about his half-term review on the players. Thank you to Spider VPN for all their internet security. Google Spider VPN, they come up at the top of the search list. They are the boys to trust. Thanks to skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website is www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245, and to CBD Hemp and Cannabinoid Specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks to Arcot Interiors for all your kitchen necessities. Go down to the bottom of Heaton Road. You can find the guys there, or Google Arcot Interiors, and they will come up at the top of the Google search list as well. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. And thanks also to John for running the website, NUFCmatters.com. Thanks to Cleekai, meet the new game over screen, drop into a ClearRun device near you. Available on Apple Store, Google Play, and clearrun.game. Give Jab Signature a look out as well, jabsignature.co.uk, and Media Arts. Thank you for all your help in the video department. And if you want to subscribe, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can subscribe for free. Still 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to share to your social media, drop into the comments box to post a comment, or speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. You can also catch us on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean and other podcast providers. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show. If you want to subscribe as well, we do send you a free car sticker. Subscribe to the channel, then go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and you can claim your free car sticker that way. Don't forget, please support the food bank, NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk. There's a match day bucket, which is operational 365 days of the year, and you can make a virtual deposit today. And unfortunately, that's something that we're asking you to do more often, because it's desperate times for a lot of people at this moment in time. Don't forget as well, we've got a live event coming up at the Marlborough Social Club Saturday the 9th of April, 12 noon. Tickets are a tenner from newcastlelegends.com. Super Matt Gibbo, myself and Holly. And don't forget, the Alan Shearer raffle for 2 tickets for the 260 dinner is still ongoing. Tickets are a £5. Go to nufcmatters.com. 99 to 1 chance of winning 2 tickets worth 520 quid. And if you just want to buy a ticket for the event, which is the 7th of April, go to 260dinner.co.uk. And John from QTech is also giving away 2 tickets for Wolves. Fancy 2 free tickets to go to Newcastle versus Wolves? Simply like, retweet, and @ 3 friends, and then follow us on YouTube to be entered into the draw. And that runs the adverts. I'm going to Mick, I'm going to bring Vic and Phil on, because they've got something they would like to promote today. I've been in conversation with them on the internet this week via email. Good morning, Vic and Phil. How are you?
Good morning. We're not bad. How are you doing?
Morning.
Very good. Thank you for thanks for coming on, and I hope the 50th went well yesterday.
It did. It went pretty well. Not for us so much. We had to leave early, but Brodie, as he wasn't feeling too good. But the 10 minutes that we were there, we enjoyed.
Yeah.
Well, give us a little bit of background into what the situation is, please.
Well, very briefly, Brodie, our son, he was born 3 months premature. So he's 6 years old now. He's doing fantastic. But as you can imagine, when you're 3 months early, it brings a lot of problems along with it. And so he's got some ongoing health issues. For example, he's been diagnosed with a condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic condition that he's inherited. He's also on oxygen at night times. He was on that 24/7, but he's slowly over time getting weaned off it. We're struggling to find people to help him out with some other issues that he's got. So we're going to have to go down to London to see some specialists down there, and we're just trying to raise some money to see these private specialists. So we have a raffle that we're doing at the minute. It's to do with the Wolves game. We've got 2 tickets that we're offering for that at £5 each for the tickets. And when's that taking place? So that's on the 8th of April. The draw is to take place when, Vic?
I think it's the 4th.
The 4th of April we'll be doing the draw. We've got a page, Brodie's Journey, on Facebook.
Just stuck the link in the chat there, so people can find that, which is great.
Smashing.
Thank you. So the treatment's just not available on the NHS for people with ADS. So you've got to find ways of getting to the specialists yourself, really. So that's what we're trying to do. Brodie plays for both for Cramlett and Blue Star, and they did a bake sale a couple of weeks ago and raised some money for that. They raised £700, so that's really helped for this week when we're travel down to London. We're traveling like through the week to see one of the specialists, so they've really helped support her. So that's brilliant. We just really want to get Brodie seen as soon as possible and help him because he is struggling.
We're just trying to do everything we can to bring him on in life, you know. And he himself, he's an absolute fantastic little character. He just takes everything in straight. He truly is inspiring to us, the way he handles all these challenges that they come to him. He's a fantastic little guy.
Yeah,
and I would just show a photograph of him there. You know what you can see. You know, lovely guy. And we just want to do as much as we can to help. I've stuck the PayPal link in for this raffle. So Brodie's Journey. This is the biggest prize to date. They've got 2 tickets to see the now sold out match, Newcastle United against Wolves at St James's Park on the 8th of April 2022. Any Newcastle fan, of course, will know how hard it is to get tickets at the moment. So for £5 a number, you can have the chance to win this prize. It's an amazing prize. It's an amazing raffle. So please click the PayPal link and, you know, just give generously, because Brodie's Journey does mean a lot, obviously, to Vic and Phil. And they're putting a lot of hard work and effort in. And from my perspective, anything I can do to help you out or promote, and I'm sure Mick is on Twitter as well. Mick will be only too happy to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much to the both of you. That's great.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Well, best of luck with it. You've got me email, Vic, and if you need anything, please feel free to reach out, and anything I can do to help, please give us a shout. Okay.
Oh, thank you so
Brilliant.
much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good
have
luck
a good
with
weekend.
him. Good luck with him.
Thanks you very
Mick.
much.
Cheers,
Thank
Steve.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Great to have them on. It's always good to use this platform for things positive like that. And yeah, best of luck to them, and best of luck to everybody who enters into the raffle. Okay, Mick. I do want to change to the players now. You briefly mentioned them, but just a bit of a half-term report on the players. First of all, Kieran Trippier.
I know. I mean, it might sound a little bit strange, and it might sound a little bit daft, but at the end of the day, we know how good Kieran Trippier is. I mean, Kieran Trippier has been a top fullback for a good few years now. You know, you don't go to Tottenham Hotspur, you don't then go to Atletico Madrid unless you're a top player. He's played at England, he's played at semi-finals, he's scored in semi-finals. I mean, Kieran Trippier is a top player. You know, the bonus of Kieran Trippier isn't the fact that Kieran Trippier is a good player, and that I still maintain that first morning when I said I think he could be captain material. He could go on and be captain of Newcastle United. Either way, he's a top fella in and around the dressing room. I'm sure he's been away in Dubai. I'm sure when he comes back, even part of his rehab, he'll be in the dressing room. He'll be in the training ground. He's a top player. But the key isn't, or the key never was in January, whether, you know, Kieran Trippier was going to be a good player, whether he was going to be an asset. The big player, the big deal was the fact that we got him. So whoever got him, whoever managed to secure him, plaudits, absolute kudos to, whether it be to Eddie Howe, because there's a relationship between the two, whether it's the owners, whoever, Steve Nixon, whoever it might be, whoever it was who managed to persuade Kieran Trippier to leave Madrid and come to Newcastle United, very well done. Because, you know, we know what he is. You know, Dan Burn has been a bonus. Matt Taggart, I think, has always been a very good player. But even he has probably been succeeded or been a more of a success than we thought he might be. But Kieran Trippier has been what Kieran Trippier is. But it's the fact that we got him. So whoever got him, however we got him, we should be very grateful of him, and we should hope now, Steve, we should hope he's still there in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, hopefully longer than that. Let's just see how long we can keep him and how long he endures his time at St James's Park.
You mentioned Big Dan Burn. You know, so far so good. I mean, you know, a local lad returning to the club that he loves and supports. You know, that in itself is worth its weight in gold. But he's a unit, and you know, a long time since we've had a centre half like this.
He is. But again, I'll go back to 2 or 3 things that I've said, you know, since he first joined. I think he needs to keep his head correct. You know, at the minute, there's an awful lot of adrenaline flying around. There's an awful lot, not so much pressure at this minute in time, but certainly, you know, he's come into a back four, or should we say two centre backs who weren't exactly setting the world apart. So as long as he came in and as long as he did something properly, he was probably going to get a pick. Now he's come in, he's done it sensibly. It also just so happens, and he has been part of it. So I'm not saying he's been handed the ability to be in a winning side. He has been an integral part of that winning side, but he has been in a winning side. And defenders and centre backs in particular, you know, life's an awful lot easier when you're winning games of football and you're under less pressure than they are in terms of the likes of the Manchester Uniteds, the Liverpools. You know, yes, we did very well against Chelsea, but the top teams, we haven't really played them as yet. So we haven't really found out exactly what level, you know, Dan Burn is at. And at the end of the day, again, you know, Dan Burn has been, whether we like it or not, has been a fairly mediocre Premier League side with Premier League clubs. Now, he may go on and really astound us and be a top player. He may well be somebody who goes on, and going back to the Trippier incident, may go on and be the captain of Newcastle United at centre-back. He may go on and be the leader of the club. At this minute in time, he just needs to stick at what he's doing, and that's doing the job properly. And he's doing it very, very well. He's looking after Shah. He's looking after his fullbacks. He looks like he's a motivator. He looks like somebody who's an ideal case in terms of captaincy. But he's only been involved for 7 or 8 games for Newcastle United. Let's just see, again, going back to Eddie Howe as a whole, let's just see what some of these new faces are like in 6 months' time, in 8 months' time. Because there's an awful lot of players over the years who, you know, they start, you know, they look great. But slowly but surely, that consistency drops. He's just got to stay consistent. He's going to come in and he's going to play against tougher sides than Newcastle have played in those opening 9 games when they were unbeaten. So let's just see what happens. But I would have to say he has been an outstanding signing. And going back to the point about the nine games, the owners who take up the, you know, who take the success of signing the players, that January and that run of 9 looks like it's essentially going to keep us in the Premier League. And Chris Wood's been part of that. Dan Burn's been part of that. Matt Taggart's been part of that. Bruno has been peripheral and Trippier has been peripheral. So you look at the 2 star players of the 5, Trippier and Bruno, and they've actually played less and had less involvement than that 9-game run than Burn, Targett and Wood. So who was the better buy in January? Those 3 or those 2? Interesting.
Yeah, Targett, I mean, you know, we've got him on loan, but the effect he seems to have had, I mean, again, is really probably one of the best left backs in recent times for me. Dummett's been holding that position down, but the fact we've managed to get a deal in place where there's an option to buy a 15 million is a snip. It would be the first bit of business Newcastle should be doing in the summer for me, I think. I think
I mentioned it the first time we did it after the transfer window, because he was the last jigsaw, the last piece in the jigsaw, and I couldn't believe it, honestly, because I've always thought what a good player he is, going back to Southampton and going back to Aston Villa. Now, you know, while people think that you know, or I was a little bit, you know, critical of saying that, you know, Dan Burn has only really played at that sort of level. And Brighton and Hove Albion, and I don't want to be derogatory because they're a good football club. But even when you're Matt Targett, you know, Southampton and Aston Villa, going back to that point I made about you know, there's only been 50, well, there have been 50 Premier League clubs since the inception of the Premier League. There's only been 6 ever played every one of the 30 seasons. Now, Newcastle and Villa are next. Now, Target was at Villa. Southampton have been a Premier League side established for a lot of years. You know, that they've brought the Shearers through, they've brought the Bales through. They're a proper football club, Southampton. Matt Target was there. Matt Target then went to Villa. Villa are a big football club. So Matt Target, you know, is a good established player. He's a left back. They are very few and far between. So, you know, I would almost argue at this minute in time, during the summer, yes, Trippier, don't worry about. Bruno, don't worry about. Dan Burn and Chris Wood. If you said to me, would Dan Burn and Chris Wood be established first 11 players at Newcastle next season, I would do that. I would say I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. And I wouldn't lose too much sleep over it without, again, being too critical about what they've done so well for the last 11 games. Matt Target, I would put in with Trippier and put in with Bruno, in so much as I would be very, very intent, if I could, of keeping him in the summer and making him, again, next season, our first choice left back. And I'll make a point of this, Steve, because as you know, because you're away, we're recording this, that, and the other. And you've been kindly enough to put me forward to put my top 11 Newcastle forward, which I'll do tomorrow. I've never actually done it, I don't think. I must have done it somewhere. But anyway, so I've sat down and thought about it. Now, as you can imagine, anybody listening to this, there's 6 or 7 certs, aren't there? But do you know what the 2 tough ones are? The 2 tough ones are the fullbacks. Because there's lots of them. There's lots of them at left. There's lots of them at right. But have you got a standout? Have you got a 9 like we have a 9? Have we got a Beardsley that we've had? No. Fullbacks are absolutely priceless. So have a listen tomorrow. Find out who my right back and my left back are, because people might be a bit surprised. But going back to Matt Target, you know, because you can't get them and because they are difficult to get a hold of, particularly left-sided players, then Matt Target, I would certainly be very, very keen to keep a hold of and look to. I mean, unless they find somebody, a worldie, I think there's no reason why Matt Target can't be a left fullback next season again for Newcastle United, if we can get him.
Yeah, Mick's, Tom's saying you should do a team. That's what he is doing, Tom. He's going to record it tomorrow, and that's going to go out next Saturday. So Mick's dream team with his subs and his manager will be next Saturday. Okay, last 2 players to look at, Mick. Chris Wood. How's he done?
Tough. Because it depends which side of the argument you look at. Do you want to talk about Chris Wood, the one of 11 who for the last 11 games have seen Newcastle lose only twice, was an integral part of the first 9 when we were unbeaten, that we picked up 21 points, that we won 6, that we drew 3, and we have essentially survived Premier League football. Now, as one of the 11 and as an integral part of the squad, an integral player of the team, the way that he's contributed the team, he has been very, very good. At the end of the day, the other argument is, do you want a centre forward who scores goals? Do you want to be, and I'm not going to say he's a Shearer. I'm not going to say he's a McDonald. That's unfair. They are top players. But is he a Cisse? Is he a Demba Ba? Is he Obafemi Martins? Again, no, he's not. You know, he's a lad who, I mean, during these 11 games, we have lost only twice. We've scored 14 games out of those 11. He's scored only 1 goal. Now, because we've been unbeaten, other than Chelsea and Everton, it doesn't really matter because he's contributed anyway. But all of a sudden, if we suddenly lose 3 or 4, and I'm talking about lose 3 or 4, not just unbeaten 3 or 4, yes, it suddenly it then gets a little bit sticky. I can't see it. I just can't see it. I think we probably only need a couple of wins from the final 9 games, whatever it is. But if it did happen, then all of a sudden you would have to question what you do. You have to go to plan B. There isn't really a plan B. There isn't really a Dwight Gale to me. So Chris Wood at this minute in time has to stay in the side. But for all of those people who say he's done very well, I think Chris Wood has done exactly what was needed. This is the bottom line. Chris Wood might secretly think this is what they operated me for. They got me into somebody who would be a centre forward because Callum Wilson was injured, somebody who knew the Premier League, somebody who worked out the Premier League, somebody who worked of the 10 around him. We didn't necessarily nobody really wanted Chris Wood to be 3, 4, a 5-year centre forward. I'm sure Chris Wood really doesn't realise that he's been brought by Newcastle United to be the number 9, to be this season, to be the season after, to be the season after that. What he was bought in January as a body into the box, who was a very capable body, was a body who would help the others. And that's exactly what he's done. Now, whether he's still around next year, it doesn't matter. What he has done, and he's picked up £25 million, by the way, as well. So if you're Chris Wood, you're not too disappointed by that. But I think he must know, in the same way that Newcastle United's hierarchy must know, that he isn't a long-term option in terms of centre forward.
Yeah, and last but by no means least, the man, the enigma, Bruno.
Yeah, well, have they voted for goal of the season, goal of the month yet? I saw yesterday that he's on the short list of 6 for goal of the season. But if he gets it, fair play, well done. But no, I think I said it last week. That Everton, the first 45 against Everton, I looked at him and I watched him. And I thought to myself, wow. This is what you want. This is what you want for 2 years. Going back again, I'm sorry if this feels a little bit disrespectful, and it's not in the slightest bit, because that's the world of football for you. It's hard nose. In the same way that Chris Wood possibly isn't looked at being a 2, 3, 4 year man in terms of a player, then Bruno is the real deal. Because Bruno, you want in 2 years, you want him in 4 years, you want him in 5 years, you want him in 6 years, you want him as your Johan Cabaye, you want him as your Gary Speed, you want him as these top players, top midfield players who really do it game in, game out. And that's what he is. And that's what he is. And what he'll do is he'll bring other players in. He'll bring players to the football ground. When it comes to the summer, when it comes to transfers in the summer, when all of a sudden they go knocking on the door of XYZ and they say, who have you got? Who have you got? We've got this fella. We've got Trippier. But this Bruno guy, they'll look, I'd play with him. I'd definitely play alongside him in centre midfield. I'd play with him right-hand side. I'd play with him up front. This, again, going back to the Trippier argument, he is genuinely a superstar. And whoever got him, in the same way that whoever got Trippier, again, should be applauded. Because Bruno is the key to it. He's the key to it. I mean, I'm thinking about 2015, 2016. The season that Newcastle were relegated, the great irony of this is the season that Newcastle were relegated was that season when Leicester won the Premier League. And for those people, we stopped dreaming and we stopped hoping during Mike Ashley, Steve. We've now got the ability to dream a bit and hope a bit. And 2015, 2016 is the year that we can still genuinely think about hoping and think about dreaming, because if Leicester City can do it, then Newcastle United could do it. And if you go back to it, I know a lot of people were very derogatory and said that, oh, it was a terrible season that season. Leicester won it by 10. They only lost 3 times all season. But here's the key. Here's the key. Who played for them? They had no one. Yes, they had Schmeichel at 29. Yes, they had Vardy at 29. The two probably superstars, ironically going back to Bruno, was Kante at centre-back and Mahrez. So Kante and Mahrez were the two real superstars. Now, either way, they had 4 between them for me. I know they had 1 or 2 others who were decent. And Schmeichel, you could probably put a question mark against. But essentially, you've really got Vardy, Kante and Mahrez. Are we not still capable of doing something like that next season? Are we not capable of throwing in 2 or 3 alongside Bruno, with Trippier in there, with Shelvey in there if Shelvey continues to play the way that he's been playing? You know, to use other players as well. You know, there is hope there. There's dreams there. All we've got to do is get through between now and the end of this season, and then have a little look at what happens in the summer, and let's see what happens next season.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, that ends our little season half-term review. Sorry, just want to bring this up as well. We're going to champion this on the show for the next few weeks. Sunday, the 1st of May, St James's Park, 2:00 kickoff. Newcastle United women versus Barnsley women at St James's Park. Tickets are £3 to get in. I think it would be great, Mick, if we could just get a really big crowd there and support that game. Because, and I've seen people in the chat, there's a few people mentioned this in the chat. Vince says, I think we should all go and support the women at St James's Park. Imagine a full stadium to show not only the support for the team, but also show the country the type of fans that we truly are. And I think that in a nutshell, really, gets where I'm coming from. Peter says it's absolutely fantastic that the ladies team will be playing at St James's Park. Hopefully we can get a bucket load of fans to attend and cheer them on. Just another fantastic showing from the owners. Gone down well, this.
Well, the bottom line is, Steve, regardless of gender, let's not worry about gender. People get obsessed with gender these days. It's about Newcastle United Football Club. Mm-hmm. It's not about women. It's not about men. It's not about under 18s. It's not about under 19s. It's not about under 6s. It's not about veterans. It's not about those who are disabled. It's about Newcastle United Football Club. And they are a Newcastle United Football Club. And do we not know, and do not we love Newcastle United Football Club? I'm sorry, get out there. Get out there. I mean, Sir John tried to stretch it, and he tried to turn Newcastle United into ice hockey, into basketball, into the lot. He wanted a bit of everything, Newcastle United. But, once upon a time, bless them, they had to go to Cowgate Kestrels to try and play their game. They couldn't play in black and white striped shirts. But if they are part of, and they are now part of properly, of Newcastle United Football Club, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter to me whether they are female. It doesn't matter what the gender is, female, male, as I say, under 18s, under 16s, those who are disabled. They are Newcastle United, and they are proud, and we are proud. So go out and do it. Go out and do it, because we all want success. We all want black and white shirts on at St James's Park, regardless of who's pulling them on, winning games of football, showing the rest of the country. So if in 2 years, 3 years time, we've got the best women's team in Britain, how proud will we be? In the same way that if the youth team won the FA Youth Cup, we'd be jumping it. I've commentated on FA Youth Cup semi-finals over the past 20 odd years. That's no different. That's no different playing the kids. So give the women a go. Play it. And that was the thing about the FA Youth Cup. The great thing was they might have played rounds 1, 2, and 3 in the FA Youth Cup at Benwell or wherever, but all of a sudden they got the shot. They got a chance at St James's Park, and they loved it, and it was important. Same again with the women. Yes, they play the majority of their games elsewhere, but give them the chance. But the bottom line, as I say, is they are part and parcel of Newcastle United Football Club. End of story. It doesn't matter whether the gender is involved. It's Newcastle United Football Club.
Yeah, well said. Good point. Well made, mate. And lots of comments coming in about that. Rachel says, well said about that. And Steve says, there's a decent side. Steve, take my granddaughter to see, was 2,600 fans, the most they've had against Ipswich. I think they will beat that. Well said, Mick, says Tom. Agreed totally, says political bias. A couple of other points I wanted to raise just before we finish. Colin says, a game that sticks out in my Newcastle life is Keegan's debut. I'll never forget it. An amazing day. He asks us, what is the one game that sticks out for us? Well, we are going to be doing a series of these over the summer, so I'm not going to ask Mick that question, Colin. But we have started it, actually, with the guys on the Geordie's Here, Geordie's There show, and that'll be on next week. So we've actually picked out our individual best game that we've ever... And there's some big surprises in there. So tune in on Wednesday for that. But I will be doing a show with Mick about that in the summer, I think. Mick and Steve, a lot of debate with kits lately with Castoria's mug-ups. What's your favourite kit over the years? Yeah, we'll do that. My favourite kit was the Grandad collar in my time supporting Newcastle. The one we nearly won the league in. Mick, have you got a favourite kit?
I mean, I was always an Adidas man, so yeah, a bit of both there, isn't there? I mean, there's both applied there, both the shirt and the owners and the merchandise. There's so many of them. I like the maroon one. I like the change kit, but too many. There is.
I think I always, because it was my first kit, the 83-84 promotion top as well, the Blue Star. That was another one which really, I loved. So yeah, I mean, there's so many. The purple and blue hooped one, the Ginola wore.
That's the one I'm talking about there.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Did I say maroon? That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. John says we will be giving 50 tickets away in the chat in the coming weeks for the ladies' game, courtesy of everyone at NUFC Matters. So there you go, John from QTech, as always. Doing something very positive, so thank you for that. Rachel says the best kit was the home and away with the Grandad collar years. Any with the brown ale logo for me, says Mr. Sifter. Marty says 1995-96 strip, can't beat it. Home and away. Sounds like there's a bit of a thirst for doing a show about strips, guys. So maybe we'll do that. The blue swirl one away and the yellow green greenalls. Oh, the greenalls ones you had to sew the greenalls logo on.
That yellow and green one was awful.
Oh, Derek mentions the yellow and green Bukta top. Mitch loves the Bukta.
Well, remember the other one with the thin black and white stripes and the broad black and white stripes. Remember that one? That was awful, and that was horrible.
Yeah, the Bukta strip it might have looked good, but they were itchy. Yeah, that was the thing with Bukta strips. It really was.
Well, Bukta full stop was poor.
It was, yeah. God, memories. Well, Mick, as always, absolute pleasure to spend a show live with you and everyone in the chat. Thanks to all the moderators. Thanks to everybody in the chat for taking part. That hour has come to an end. So I'm doing a pre-record with Mick for next Saturday, and then we'll be back the following week live. Just one thing as well. Chris Kamara has come out this week, Mick.
Yes.
You've been talking about your condition for weeks now on the show, and this we know as we know you were doing this show before you took bad, but this is helping you regain your confidence, regain your speech, and for me you've been fantastic, and I'm delighted. But yeah, Chris Kamara, he's got a big profile, and he's come out and spoken quite a lot about it this week.
I sent him a text last Friday. And I finally got a love heart from him on about the Tuesday, because as you can imagine, he was inundated with thousands. And basically all I said to him was, look, my aphasia is slightly different to the ailment he has. But basically my argument was just be positive day to day, but be positive. And another mate of ours who... you may remember Dave Clark, who does the darts on Sky. He has Parkinson's, and again, slightly different ailment, but again, positive. First half an hour of me today, because I try and get so much that I prepare for these without wanting to sort of cheat. But then you said, "Oh, well, let's do this about this, that, and the other," and suddenly your mind has to go into a different place. I was thinking about Tottenham. I was thinking about this stat, that stat, and then we start thinking about the owners, and it's difficult, Steve. It really is difficult. And I watched Chris Kamara, bless him, on Sky Soccer last Saturday. And you just have to keep at it. You have to keep, and it's very, very frustrating because you just want to do what you want to do. I want to do what I used to be able to do. Left, right, and centre. Bang, 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 bang. Hours. Every word spot on. Chris Kamara, you know how gregarious Chris Kamara is. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, you'll hit a wire. Suddenly you'll hit a bit of a stop, a block, and that's what aphasia is. That's what Chris Kamara is suffering from as well. So it is, bear with him. Don't give the encouragement that you can give him. Thousands did for him, and as I say, I sent him a message. And there's an awful lot of people out there, Steve. There's an awful lot of people out there. So I'll bang again about anybody out there who has had a stroke. This isn't Chris Kamara's situation. I only know what I know, and that is that through stroke to aphasia, if you've got anybody out there who's suffering with aphasia, just try and bide your time, and also just keep at it, be positive, you and the boys here have been great to me. So yeah, help Chris Kamara, help everybody who has any sort of disability of any description.
Top man, great stuff. Thanks as always, Mick, and I will see you live in a couple of weeks' time. But looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.
Yes,
the pre-record.
All right, mate. See you later. Take it
Bye.
easy.